What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? T to the M to the IDD, back with another video on 5 things that every beginner photographer should have, and I mean absolutely everyone. Now, the first thing without any hesitation is, of course, a camera. Now, a camera comes automatically with a lens as long as you buy it new. Used as well, most people include the lens. And with that camera comes a kit lens most of the times. Now, don't be confused that a lot of people say kit lenses are not of good quality, and I am here to say that that is far from the truth. It is more about the person operating the actual camera than the gear. If you learn to use your camera to its best ability, you can get amazing images from your camera. And just for this is a beginner entry-level mirrorless camera, the Nikon ZFC. The reason I bring that up is because people say you can't get great images from it, but I was able to use the kit lens and produce these images that you see right here. So don't be mistaken. A kit lens does not mean that it's the worst lens ever. It just means that you really have to perfect your craft. So number 1 is a camera. Okay, now with this camera, you're going to need some additional accessories. We live in a world where content is everything. And so since content is everything, we need places to store that content. And so memory cards are a must. I would recommend having multiple memory cards, and at least at the price of memory cards now, at least start off with a 64 gigabyte memory card. Because as you begin to grow and learn, some people might start in JPEG, some people may start in RAW. And the difference is the amount of data that each file holds. A RAW file can keep more information, and so hence the file is larger. So you definitely need space for the photos that you will be taking. And also, you know, social media platforms are now pushing more video. So if you want to adapt to the ever-changing social media network, you want to have space to store video potentially as well. Now, going with that same rhythm, you're going to need something to power your camera, right? And so I always recommend to have additional batteries. One is none is what I say. So at least have a backup battery for your camera. And if not that, have additional, because you can never have enough batteries. And speaking of keeping up with social media, pushing video and things like that, some things are more labor intensive on your camera. And so things like rendering photos and also rendering videos in 4K quality, that takes a lot of power. And so batteries can be used up a little bit quicker than if you are just taking simple still images. So keep that in mind. Batteries are essential to that camera, or you have nothing at all. The next thing, let's talk about, you go out, you have a shoot, now you have to process these images. So it goes without saying, you absolutely need a laptop, desktop, some computer source, or even a phone. Phones nowadays have the processing capability to edit photos just as good as any computer can. So take it down and make sure you have a computer. Now, you don't need the most elite computer. You're just a beginner, you're just starting off, just something to get the job done right now will work. But if you foresee yourself keeping this as a passion or as a business and growing, then I would get something somewhere in the middle playing field. That way you have some room to grow with the processing capabilities on the hardware that are in today's computers, i.e. handling those big files take a lot of performance from these computers. And like I said, if you're handling video, then that is even more to deal with. So we need a computer, desktop, phone to handle these files of these beautiful images that we are about to capture. Now we have our computer, right? So what do we need in order to edit? We need some software. So the last thing that we need is editing software. No matter what you use, I'm telling you, you can start with free software, which I did, and I highly recommend, just to kind of get your feet wet in the craft and start to play around with the images that you create. Myself, I started off with GIMP, and as I got more serious, I started to get into Photoshop, Lightroom, and programs like that. Now, they all have their good things and their bad things, and they all have their benefits. But I always recommend starting with something free. That way you can play around with it and then advancing on as you progress with your craft. So those are the 5 things. And if I could add anything more, maybe this, just as a bonus to any beginner photographer, is to have a goal. I cannot stress having a goal in this particular field, because a lot of times you will feel like you are not growing, you will feel like you're not making a difference, and then that gear that you just bought just goes to waste or sits on the shelf. So at a minimum, have a goal as to what you want to do, where you want to be. What is that driving force that is keeping you going to want to pick up that camera every day and create something new to show the world while you are on your journey of photography? So those are the 5 things that I believe every beginner photographer should have in their kit as they are just starting off, plus a little extra motivation to make sure that once you start this journey, you don't stop, you keep creating. T to the M to the IDD. Peace.